It's now time for On the Line with Cheryl Wilkerson. The conversation will range from local dialogue to international. This show is meant to enlighten, inform, and to inspire. On the Line with Cheryl Wilkerson begins now.
Hello and welcome to On the Line. I'm your host, Cheryl Wilkerson. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday morning. I do appreciate you all. I have an author that's going to join us today, but I paused because it's so much more. It's just so much more. You have to stay tuned for this next 30 minutes because you will be blown away. We say good morning and hello to author extraordinaire Janeen Jackson. Welcome to On the Line.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I was introduced to Janeen by Maynard, our general manager here at the radio station. And he says, a friend of mine, a Spartan, behold, wrote this wonderful children's book, and I think you would enjoy talking to her. You all, it's so much more than a children's book. So I said, okay, so yeah, let's set that up. Let's get it done. So the name of the book is Hello, Sweet Baby, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Hello, Sweet Baby.
Tell me this. When did you know you were going to sit down and write a children's book?
Well, that is a very complicated question because I did not decide to just sit down and write a children's book. This book came to me because of genetics. To give you a little background story, in 2018, I decided, along with a few of my family members, decided to take a DNA test for fun and to work on our family tree. And when I took my test, I found out that I was adopted.
So you took this test and the results came back and you weren't matched with your brothers.
I was not matched with my brothers nor any of my family members. And I was deeply confused. And I also noticed that in my DNA, I recognized some DNA that didn't belong to me, but I also did not recognize a lot of the ethnic backgrounds that I knew myself to be, which was Ashkenazi Jew. And I remember calling my mother, asking her if she could kind of explain to me this mystery. And it was revealed that I was adopted and that I was biracial. I was raised by two Black family members and my mother and father. And I found out that my biological family, my birth father is Jewish and my birth mother is Black. And the story came to me because 6 months later after my discovery, I decided to tell my children about my background. And my youngest one, who was 5 years old at the time, was completely confused and really didn't understand race as we know it. He only understood it through color. And so I created this story about the journey of these two vegetables, a yellow one and a red one, to try to really explain the complexities of race and differences and how family is close to the vine, no matter who your family is. And then during the pandemic, as we were all kind of sitting in our stuff, the story came back to me again, and I decided to write it. And that was the birth of my book.
And the way you explain it is very, I don't want to say cut and dry because I don't want to sound that cold, but it's better. It's very matter of factly. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. But when I read your writings about what you went through, in no way was it very matter of factly. First of all, you had absolutely no idea that you had been adopted.
No, I had no idea. And what's really interesting about that is I feel as though my identity was staring at my entire life, and and I I didn't see it. And why would I see it, you know? So in addition to writing the book, I also wrote a blog called Mixed Up Diary. And it talks about, I discussed the complexities of race, colorism, and family secrets. And so I do think I'm speaking about it in a little bit of a matter-of-fact way, because I think that by reading the blog, people have a deeper understanding. And a lot of people probably can relate to some of the things that I went through as a Black woman. And then I can also say that when you add children on top of that, and that complexity, it makes it a lot more difficult. I remember my youngest son would always whisper to my dad, "How come they call mommy African American when she looks like a white lady?" And my husband would say to me, you know, Phoenix asked again why you look like a white lady. And I remember the last time he said that, I said, all right, today I'm going to really explain to him why mommy looks the way she does. Before then, you know, I just said Black people come in all shades and colors, which they do.
Right. That was the truth. Yeah,
it's the truth. However, I didn't understand the depth of my complexity. And I used this book, this children's book, to really explain that. And it's been a really interesting and unbelievable journey. And honestly, I'm better for it. My mom is better for it. My brothers, my whole family is better for it. And I've gained some extra family members because of it too. It's just been an amazing journey. And I'm so excited that I was able to write a children's book that would hopefully help others explain differences, complexities, adoption, and most importantly, family secrets.
The name of the book is Hello, Sweet Baby, An Adoption Journey. My guest today is Janeen Jackson. And if you will, let's go back. When you found out that you were in fact adopted, were you mad? If so, with whom? Were you happy? If so, with whom? What emotions did you feel?
When I first found out that something was amiss in my DNA journey, I was completely confused. In fact, I thought I was part of some strange scam.
You thought you were being scammed, yeah.
I thought I was being scammed. You know, you hear about all of this digital technology stuff, you know, and I thought I was being scammed until I used Ancestry.com, and I started seeing a lot of women that were connected to me biologically that looked like me. And, you know, I was really confused. And then some of the family members were reaching out to me. There's a chat option. They were reaching out to me and saying things like, "We're so excited that we finally found you." And again, I shut it down. I said, "Oh my gosh, I don't understand what's happening." Again, because I have no idea that I'm adopted. And then one of the family members gave me information about a baby that had been adopted, that one of their parents had given away for adoption. And I apologize. First, I want to apologize to anyone who's been adopted. I know that some of the terms that I'm using, not used in the adoption world, but I'm using what's comfortable for me. So I was placed or given away for adoption. And that night, and I was given a newborn baby picture of me. So I found out I was adopted and in foster care for a few months. And when I saw the baby picture, I completely was shaken, because I realized I'd never seen a newborn picture of myself. And so I got the information, and the next day I decided to call this agency and explain to them what was going on. I was a bit nervous about calling my mother. My father had just passed away the year before, And therefore, she was still grieving, and I didn't want to give her, confuse her. And so I reached out to the adoption agency myself. And when when they gave me the information and told me that I was, in fact, adopted, I was blown away, but I still did not believe it. I had to hear it from my mom. And so I took a deep breath, made the call to my mom, and she explained to me that, in fact, I was adopted, and that they didn't want me to know because a couple months later, or about a year later, then my mother became pregnant with my two brothers, Jermaine and Jamar. And so my journey started there. And honestly, to answer your question, I actually felt free.
Okay.
I think that I must have had some spiritual burden on me about I do look different than the rest of my family. And so I think that I just felt free after hearing that information. But then after that, my journey was really difficult. I was confused. I did become angry. I felt liberated, but yet stuck at the same time. I missed my father. I wish he had been here to help me with my journey and to talk to be available to speak to him and my mom. And, but, as time goes on, I became stronger, and, as I said before, I've just have so many more family members who love me and who care about me. And, so I'm a better person because of that.
And your adoption, I think I understood this correctly. When your mother gave you up for adoption, she thought it was an open adoption, but it turned out to be a closed adoption. Do I have that correct?
That is correct. It was a closed adoption. And
can you tell us the significance of January 9th, 2017?
Yes. So my adoption was closed. And so when I called the adoption agency and asked them, well, if this was a closed adoption, because again, I still didn't believe the information they were giving me. I said, if it's closed, then why are you telling me? So I was adopted in New Jersey. And they told me, oh, well, on January 9th in 2017, the adoption laws, field adoption laws were lifted. Well, as soon as I heard that information, I began crying hysterically. And I remember the case manager asking me if I was okay. And I said, no, I'm not okay, because January 9th, 2017 was the day that my father had passed away. And when he passed away unexpectedly, I just had this feeling inside that my father didn't pass away by accident, that there was meaning behind it. And I believe that they revealed to me the meaning, which was it was time for my father to go so that I could have this information and learn about my biological family. So it was a very moving moment for me. It still is. It really is.
Anybody should be able to understand that. What about the fact, I thought it was spot on when I was reading when you said to your birth family, they were contacting you, your brother, your father, your mother, and at one point you just said, wait a minute, I've just known about you all for 3 days. You all have known about me my whole life. I just need a minute. How did they receive that?
Oh, yes. As soon as I returned the call to, it was my half-brother on my paternal side, I called him and I said, hey, I want to let you know I did follow up, and I am indeed this little baby that your family knew about, and just want to confirm with you. They started giving me all of this information about family members and who's this and who's that. They've loved me forever and all of these things. And it was overwhelming. And I did have to ask them to leave me alone for a moment so that I can process. because I felt as though I was a newborn all over again, a toddler, just learning how to walk. And they were scared. They were scared in the beginning, but then I asked them to trust the process, that if they truly cared and loved me in a way that they said that they did, that they needed to give me and provide me the space, because I really then needed to deal with my family, Jackson family, the family that I always know and will forever know as my family, to really sit with them and to process all of this new information. And it took some time, but I did come back and I've met all of the family members, which is, I went from only having 2 brothers to now a whole slew of brothers and sisters and cousins. So they took it. I think they took it pretty well. I'm still in their lives, so they're very happy.
I want to now jump through a few things, and you just tell the listening audience the significance. I am talking to Janeen Jackson. She has written a book. It's called Hello, Sweet Baby, The Adoption Journey. She found out she was adopted, and certain things just lined up after she found out who she was born into. So tell us the significance of Bon Jovi.
Well, as a kid, this is definitely going to reveal my age, but as a kid in the 80s, in middle/high school, I was a huge Bon Jovi fan. And I found out that my birth mother was she is a professional jazz singer, but also a Grammy Award-winning background singer on a Bon Jovi album. And she traveled the world with him. And little did I know that as I was singing those songs and, looking at the posters that were hanging on my wall, that I was listening to my birth mother's voice. That's still mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, that gives me goosebumps. That absolutely gives me goosebumps.
She was always around me, and I never knew.
And you're saying she was always around you. I can give you another instance if you explain Cape May, the jazz festival.
Right. So my mom and dad, Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, were part of a club. And every year they would go to the Cape May Jazz Festival in New Jersey. And there was always a headliner. I remember my parents coming back from their excursion when we were kids, and they were talking about this headliner and how great she sang. And then they would talk about, the main act. Well, I also found out through my birth mother, I had asked her, I said, what did you do after you gave me away? And she said, well, I just sang myself to healing. And one of the things that I used to do was sing. I was a headliner at the Cape May Jazz Festival. And when she said that, I paused and I said, well, wait, what do you mean? And she explained what a headliner was and everything. And I told her about my parents coming to those concerts and talking about this woman who could sing. And I told her, I said, you sang to my parents. And then I told my mother, and she said, what? She was so in shock. And my birth mother said, I always knew you were around me, but I just didn't know where. And so again, I just felt like my birth mother's voice was kind of like my blanket of hope throughout my whole life, and it's just, again, just telling you about that is giving me goosebumps again. I will tell you this. It's funny. My mom and I now joke. I said, now I understand why I'm the only one in our family that can sing. I'm the only one that has a voice.
Because of the family you were born into. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So at one point in your life, you said, I'm gonna go get my master's. But you didn't want to take out that loan. Tell that story.
Yeah. So I decided, a year before the pandemic, that I really wanted to dig a lot more into social justice, activism, and education. I was already working at a school as an arts administrator, but I wanted to go dig deeper. And so I decided to apply to or go to Antioch University in Los Angeles and get my master's degree in education, leadership, change, and social justice. However, I kept delaying because I really did not want to take out a student loan. But I just leaned on my faith and I said, you know what, we'll figure it out. I'm going to apply anyway. I can't delay. And about a month or two after I had applied, this is what I found out, that I was adopted. I might be getting my timelines mixed up just a little bit, but I received notification that my paternal grandmother or their family had opened up a scholarship for all of their children to go to school. And so I was given the funds to further my education, and the amount that was given to me was the exact amount of the bill for my master's degree. And again, completely unbelievable. Not only was I given those funds, but I found out that my paternal grandparents did similar work that I was doing, arts and activism and education. So that, again, was really, again, it's like another, I don't know if you call it an aha moment or what you would call it, but everything just seems to be, in my life, seemed to be snapping together just so perfectly.
And when you received that money, so your birth family did not know where you were. The adoption was closed. So they didn't know if they would ever meet you or ever find you. But they still made sure this fund was made out for this child. We know she's in our family. We don't know if we're ever going to find her, meet her, whatever, but we're going to set up this money now. And they did that, and it came through. It's just like, you cannot make this up.
I know. You know, it's interesting. Every time I tell this story, I do feel like I'm making it up. I'll tell people, I know it sounds like I'm telling you about a cool movie, but no, it's about me. It's about my life. Yes. I honestly, when I found out about this, I was 46 years old, and I was thinking, okay, in a couple of years, I'm going to be thinking about retiring. And I feel like my life now has been like kind of like an as seen on TV commercial, like, but wait, there's more, because more and more things keep being added to my life, but they have been nothing but blessings.
Let me ask you this. Many people take these tests and they find out they have family members, and it doesn't always end well. Are you generally a fan of these tests? I know in some people's lives they have been, I don't know if the word is destructive, but they wish they had not done it. Are you a fan or not of these DNA tests?
Oh, honestly, I'm neutral. And the reason why I say that is because I purchased this test without really doing my research and reading the comments and reviews. And I really believe that if I had seen the reviews on these tests about, I found a family member, or I found my mom, or I found my dad, I got a feeling that something inside me would have hesitated, because these types of tests can destroy people. I joke, but it's very serious. All kinds of skeletons are coming out of the closet. Secret.
You are actually finding out about your parents or your grandparents or whomever's sex lives. I mean, you really are. Yeah.
Yes, and not only that, a week before I had taken that test, my husband and I were watching one of these nighttime shows about how DNA tests have wrongly convicted people. It also helped find and close, cases where people were wrongly convicted. But these DNA tests are now coming into the hands of the federal government, and which is really, really dangerous. And so my kids are so excited about these tests. They want to take them, but my husband and I are are saying absolutely not until they're 18 and they can make their own decision. So anybody listening right now, if you're deciding to take these tests, just be really mindful and prepared in case that there's some type of mystery that is revealed. I know a lot of people who've taken this test, and they said that their life was boring before and it's even more boring now. So, but I'm really neutral on it. I will say, though, if you are looking for lost family members, Ancestry is the way to go. If you are looking for health issues, then 23andMe is the way to go. But Ancestry will help you find people in your family.
Speaking today with Janeen Jackson, the half hour is almost up. That blows my mind. It goes by so quickly. She's written a book. It's called Hello, Sweet Baby. It's an adoption journey, her own personal journey. Who do you want to read the book? Because in my mind, every age can read it. But what do you say?
I would say that my book is geared for kinder all the way through probably 5th grade. Again, my book is a journey about a little baby tomato who's released from the vine because her parents, Mama Red and Papa Yellow, couldn't take care of her anymore. And then with the help of a ladybug who travels all over Hopewell Garden, the ladybug Blue, helped Sweet Baby Red find a forever home. I think that this book is a really lighthearted way to really explain adoption, about family, about differences, and about why people place children in adoption. I think that this book is a really great conversation starter, and I really encourage people to read this book.
I believe that placing a child in adoption is a very loving thing to do. I know some people may not have that feeling, but if you can't take care of a human being and you love that human being and you give that human being to someone who can love it and take care of it, I just think that's what we are supposed to do.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
I know everybody doesn't feel that way, but I do. Well, Miss Janeen Jackson, you are something else. I am so glad that you joined us today for On the Line. Your story is amazing. Please tell everybody where they can meet you on social media.
You can meet me on social media by going to my blog at mixedupdiary.com. You can also look me up on Amazon and by just Googling or putting my name in the search engine, Janeen Jackson, which is Janeen Jackson. And you can also look me up on Twitter and Instagram under Mixed Up Diary.
You all have to read those blog posts in Mixed Up Diary because I just hit a few of the entries, but you all, please, you will be mesmerized by this story. I'm telling you, you will be spellbound. It kept my attention the whole weekend. I just kept thinking about that. How would I feel if I were you? But I do want to say that I think that you handled it well. I think that your birth parents handled it well. I think that your parents handled it. Your mom handled it as best she could. And I'm just so glad that everything has turned out well for you.
Me too. And most importantly, I'm really happy that I've been able to turn something that has just been completely earth-shattering for me into something really positive and to really help others heal and understand the complexities of family secrets and colorism.
Thank you so much, Janeen Jackson. You all pick up this book, Hello, Sweet Baby, An Adoption Journey. And thank you so much for being here. As always, I end the program, and I'll let you say it today. What does one say, one that has attended Norfolk State University? What is our salutation?
Behold the green and gold.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.